Hey, what's up, Crypto Army? I'm Travis, your crypto newbie, bringing you my experiences so you don't have to learn things the hard way. Just a reminder, I'm not a financial advisor. None of my content should be viewed as financial advice. If you like what my content offers, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like the video, and turn on notifications so you get notified when I publish new content. It really helps the channel grow and get the content to others that might like it. So today we're going to talk about Reflecto. Reflecto was actually requested by quite a few people for me to do a quick fundamental analysis on this particular token. And it's an interesting token, so I understand why they wanted me to take a look at it. So let's go ahead and jump right in. And as you can see, it's got a pretty good designed website. Here's my thoughts on it. It's probably a template because I want to say I've seen images very similar to this in the past, and there's a variation on this further down the website as well. And it's not tailored to the website itself or the project. So it looks good, don't get me wrong, but it's not really relevant to the actual project. And graphics on a website should matter for the actual project. Now, don't get me wrong, it's a token, and it's a couple different tokens, but it's just not relevant graphics, right? And again, it's visually appealing. So I'm not going to take away any points for them not making it their own, but I have a feeling this is just a template website, which they made their own in the form of the words and some of the layout, which is kind of the same as most other projects as well. But they really make the graphics their own, but it does look good. So that's kind of the upfront about the website. Is I'm fairly certain this is just a template website that they updated a couple things on. Well laid out. I like the how to buy, so let's go ahead and click that quick. Now, like I've been saying on multiple fundamental analysis, I always love when they do a how to buy. And in this case, they did a really good job. They mentioned that you're going to need MetaMask or Trust Wallet, and then they walk you through the process of connecting it and then using PancakeSwap to buy the token, which is awesome for people that have never bought before. They can come here and kind of understand what the process is going to look like. Now, the process they went through didn't include a very important step, which is how to enable the token inside of the Trust Wallet. Because a lot of people are going to go and buy this, and then they're going to go open up Trust Wallet and realize, hey, I can't see it. Did I get scammed? I get a lot of questions like that, even when they've got the video that I put together that kind of walks them through how to add it. They just skip that step. They're all excited because they bought, and then they forgot to actually enable it so they can see it. So my recommendation would be to add that information because that's missing here. So a lot of people are going to buy this and then think it's a scam because it didn't show up in their wallet, and that's not the case. They just got to enable it so they can see it inside of their wallet. And I'm going to put the link for a video I did on evergrowcoin. It works the exact same because it's a BEP20 token, so you can check that link out if you have any questions or if you want an actual video kind of tutorial. One of the things I covered in my video that isn't here as well, if you live in a place where you can't buy Binance Smart Chain, then these aren't necessarily going to be the directions you need to follow. So you're going to want to check out this video on how to buy evergrowcoin. Again, same exact process, you're just going to follow it for Reflecto, and that'll get you set up for how to buy this. And I do cover if you live in Texas or New York or some of the other places where you can't buy Binance Smart Chain through Trust Wallet. It'll explain how to do it there, and it actually walks you through that process. And I even talk a little bit about selling, but normally you don't want to buy these tokens with the intent of selling, at least not on a decentralized exchange. You would want to wait for a centralized exchange, which is generally not going to have the rewards, but it's also not going to have those high fees either. At least they shouldn't. So that's about the how to buy. I like it. Looks good. All right, so now that while we're up here, let's go ahead and take a look at the rewards dashboard. So I like the rewards dashboard. It's original. It's designed specific for their token, which I appreciate. It's not just a copy and paste from a whole bunch of other projects that are out there. And you kind of really can't, because this one giving you 3 different tokens and all 3 are different types of tokens. You really kind of can't. So I think they kind of had to do this, but I like it. It looks good. And it'll be interesting to see what other features they include on this design. I kind of like the idea of rewards tracker, so you can kind of see, again, it seems like that's kind of what they're doing. But I would like them to break it down a little bit. So maybe by month, maybe by year, provided that this token's around for years. It'll be interesting to see. Maybe some graphs. Maybe some graphs of what the price for Evergrow and Crypter does over time based on the rewards. So there's a whole bunch of things that they can do with these interfaces. So it'll be interesting to see how they build this thing out and what they do with it. All right, let's go ahead and continue down here. Now we kind of covered their unique aspect, which is really the 3 different tokens. One of the other things they're looking at doing is an API, or an application programming interface, which allows for it to be used as a payment gateway. Not a lot of information on exactly what this is going to do or what they mean by this, but I think it's going to be very similar to how iMenu allows for you to buy using whatever crypto that's integrated in their system. So right now you can click on this link and you can go check this out. They partnered with over 200 different hotels and restaurants to be able to use crypto to make purchases. And Reflecto is already integrated. Now what isn't clear is whether Reflecto as the actual token, or if it includes all of the associated tokens as well. So if you buy Reflecto, you may not want to use Reflecto to buy other stuff, and maybe your goal is to hold it, so you wouldn't necessarily want to use Reflecto. So maybe you want to use that binance-pegged USD, or maybe you want to use that crypter, or maybe you want to use that evergrowcoin. Since this token rewards in a whole bunch of different options, plus you've got the actual base token, it wasn't exactly clear how you could use iMenu and which tokens, because I don't know that I would want to use my evergrowcoin or my crypter or my Reflecto, to be honest with you, because if the rewards are accumulating, why would I want to use those? These are more like holding tokens. So I don't know that I would want to use it. I have no problems using binance-pegged USD to buy stuff because it's convenient. It's almost dollar for dollar, so I know exactly what I'm spending on stuff, so I like that. But I'm not entirely sure that I want to use Reflecto or any of the other tokens that you get rewarded to make purchases. My goal is to kind of hold them and create that passive income down the road. Now it's a Docs team, and I've watched some of their AMAs, and these are the individuals that are on those AMAs, so you can go watch those and kind of learn more about the project as well. Here's my only concern with how they do their AMAs. They're not conducive to YouTubers like myself covering their AMAs because they broadcast them on YouTube, which produces a high quality output, but I can't broadcast their YouTube channel on mine as a live stream. Maybe you can, but I'm always concerned about copyright infringement issues. I don't want to get any strikes on my channel for stuff like this, so I'm less willing to do that, just because it's not entirely clear how that would work. And I've never seen another YouTuber try to do that. I know that we can do commentary on YouTube content, but this would be a little bit different. So I think YouTube might call that copyright infringement, and then we run into problems. I don't think the team would raise an issue with it, but I would prefer that they do some other medium that allows for YouTubers like myself and others to cover their AMAs. And the benefit of that is that it's not just their channel that's getting viewers, it's all of ours. So every potential YouTuber that wants to cover this project would be able to broadcast those AMAs to their subscriber list. And potentially, especially the bigger channels where you're talking tens of thousands of people, that's a lot of people getting exposure to their project. So I would rethink how they do their AMAs. I hate Telegram, but Telegram as far as AMAs isn't a bad approach. It allows for the video, and it allows for the audio, and it's usually pretty stable. That would be my recommendation, is try to find a platform that allows for them to do the same quality product while also allowing YouTubers to live stream the events. This is kind of the good illustration of what you're getting here, because you're getting 10% back in reflections from the Reflecto token, but for every evergrowcoin and every crypto token that you get in rewards, you're also getting the 8% from those. So I don't think the math actually works out to 26%, but you're getting a lot more reflections by getting your reflections in these tokens. So it's definitely an interesting approach to tokenomics. And speaking of tokenomics, here's one of my concerns. So 20% for buys and sells, and it's not entirely clear what's going to happen when you start using it for MasterCard and Visa, because most of those, all of these tokens, right? So crypter, evergrow, and Reflecto, if you end up using it, are you paying that 20 to 14% fee every time that you buy using a MasterCard or a Visa? Or is it waived when you're using it in that capacity? It's not entirely clear how that mechanism works or how it will work. And I don't know that they've got it necessarily figured out because it's a brand new token. So they're probably still working things out. But you end up getting 10% rewards back to holders 4% of every transaction goes to liquidity fees, 3% goes to buyback in the gas wallet, and I'll talk about this in a second, and then 3% to the marketing wallet. So 20% total, half of which goes back to the holders. The other half is an interesting distribution, and it's a lot. So liquidity fees, 4%, especially for a new token, is probably about right, because you got to build up that liquidity and ensure that you're not going to crash when the whales start selling, because as soon as the whales are at a profit point that they feel that they should sell, they're going to, and it's going to drop the price. And if you don't have enough liquidity for when that happens and you have a sell-off that happens along with that, you can run into a lot of problems, and the token can actually crash because of liquidity. So 4%, especially as a brand new project, isn't bad. The 3% buyback in the gas wallet, so 2% goes to buyback and burn, and then 1% goes to the gas wallet. Having no gas fees is an interesting concept, but you really don't have no gas fees, you're just pre-buying, is one way to look at it. So 1% of every transaction that you do for this token results in a 1% to the gas. And right now, you're paying gas. So when you go to the Trust Wallet or you go to MetaMask and you buy this process, you're paying gas fees. And on top of that, 1% of your transactions going to the gas wallet, which will eventually pay for future purchases. So right now, if you're an early adopter, you're really paying for everybody else's gas fees down the road. But even then, I suspect that the 1% is still going to be there. So you will be paying gas fees right now and in the future. I'm just not sure I'm conflicted on this, because you're still paying the gas. It's not like you're not paying the gas fee. It's not like you can say no gas fees, because you've already basically pre-purchased on your next one. And only after they get the system up and running does that even apply. So I'm not sure. I'm a little conflicted on this, and I haven't heard them talk about this part specifically. But the way I see it is that you're basically just prepaying your gas fees. And I'm just not sure that that's something that I'm interested in. Now, 3% to the marketing wallet is kind of a lot. Normal marketing wallets are about 1% to 1.5%. 3% is double what a normal marketing wallet would be at the very least. And now, it's not some of the crazy 5% that we see out there. That's a lot. Now, what I suspect this is 3% is marketing and development. I just think that they should say it that way, if that's what this is, because it does cost money to develop these apps and these interfaces. So I understand that. It makes sense. But calling it marketing, I don't know. 3% isn't as, like I said, it's not as crazy as 5%, but 3% is a pretty high marketing amount, especially when this token starts to get a lot of volume. That turns into a lot. And overall, 20% fees is a high fee, especially for every buy and every sell. It's kind of limiting the buy into this project. Most structures out there have you at a lower fee for the buy and then a higher fee for the sell to discourage selling. Having a 20% across the board flat fee is a lot. And fees in general are kind of a new concept. At least these kinds of fees and this high. It isn't clear whether 20% fees is going to be successful. And I've said this on a lot of different projects. There's a lot of projects that are going anywhere from 10 to 20% on their fee structures. Those are high fees. And it isn't entirely clear that the consumers are going to want to pay those kinds of fees on these tokens. So that's a risk. That's a pretty significant risk. You do the assessment. Is 20% too high? Let me know in the comments. I'm kind of curious. Who thinks 20% is too high? And if you do, what is the right number? What do you think traders, for example, are going to want to have for their tokenomics? Is 20% too high? I mean, think about how much it has to go up in order for them to get a return on their investment. Are the traders going to be willing to wait? Normally they aren't. They're interested in immediate cash, an immediate return on their investment as much as they can. They don't like to tie their cash up, and this one potentially has a long wait before you could have a return on your investment or a significant return on your investment. So I'm not entirely sure that the traders are going to find this appealing. Now, there's ways around that, especially using centralized exchanges, where you don't necessarily have the fees when you put them on the centralized exchanges, which is probably where most of your traders are going to do the purchases anyway. But that volume won't generate rewards, so there's a trade-off there. I'm curious. Let me know in the comments. What do you guys think about 20%? And then they've got the roadmap. And again, I like that they've indicated what's done and what's in work. My only concern is that they haven't really talked about what's next. And we're in November, so we're coming up on the end of the year here, and as far as this roadmap goes, it's only to January. That's not really a long-term plan. And we should have at least part of next year already kind of laid out, and we just don't have that. And then I always like having a contact option. Now, I didn't test this one. I used Discord to ask some of my questions, and then I also did some stuff in Telegram. I don't like Telegram, but as far as Telegram goes, theirs is tolerable. There weren't as many bots. They were more engaged. So if I asked a question, I didn't get just kind of shut down for asking a question. There are some out there that when you get in there, if you ask any question, you're seen as a hater on their project, and that's not the case. So that wasn't the problem I had with here. I didn't really have any problems with their Telegram. So as far as Telegram goes, this one wasn't too bad. But I still prefer Discord. And they are less responsive in Discord, but there are people that answered questions there, so I appreciate those people that were answering some of my questions. And then they've got the email option. And I suspect this just goes to their email. So whatever works best for you if you've got a question about this project. Now, their white paper is only 8 pages long, so we're not going to cover too great of depth on this because most of it's on their website. There's not really a lot of additional information here based off of my review of it, but it is good. So if you prefer white papers, this might be a good place for you to go. I prefer websites because they generally are more up to date than what's in their white paper. And again, most of this information is on their website. What isn't on their website is their values and kind of their vision for their project. And watching some of the AMAs and the live streams, the project owners seem like they legitimately care about the project. Again, they're docs, which is always a good sign. And they talk a little bit about some of the things that they're building here as well. So that API, and then also the free transactions with the Reflecto, with the no gas. Now here's where I don't agree with the wording. So about the gas. This means you will not need to hold additional BNB in your wallet to make the transaction with Reflecto, and the transaction will be free since Reflecto Rayleigh, I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce that word, Rayleigh, will pay for the transaction from the gas wallet. Well, yeah, but you've already prepaid, and a part of every transaction, the 20% fee, goes into the gas, so you really are paying the gas fee just a different way. Now, when we look at the gas wallet, it takes 1% from every transaction to be used later to enable free gasless transactions. The benefit of this is that Reflecto holders will not need to keep BNB and make transactions, and gas will be paid from the gas wallet. But again, it's not an accurate statement because you're just prepaying your gas. Unless, of course, that 1% eventually just going to go back to buyback and burn. But that's not what this says. That's not said anywhere inside of any of these processes. Now, here's an interesting part here. So we already saw on the website that 3% is buyback and gas, 2% is the buyback and burn, and 1% is the gas. That isn't what this says. So that could be potentially a difference between the white paper on how they initially design it and what the website currently says. And that's why I said sometimes you got to look at both. So this is a little bit different. And that's pretty much it for their white paper. Now, they did have an audit done as well by Nebula. I've seen some other projects with Nebula as well. Again, I don't know what is a good audit versus a bad audit. Everybody likes Certic. And there's a couple others that are definitely more well known and will generally have a much longer audit. The length of the audit is less concerning rather than the quality, and then whether a company has done an audit on a token and then had an issue. Those are the things I'd like to know, and there isn't really anybody that's tracking that kind of information, and it's not really well regulated, so we are where we are. They have an audit, and it was a pretty good audit. They did identify a couple issues, but very minor issues, no high risk. So here we can see that they had 4 low risk findings. Out of everything that they looked at, that was it. I think around a 90% is probably what I would assess this audit to be. They do go through each of these 4 low severity issues throughout the course of the following pages. I'm not going to cover them here. Again, if you are curious about the audit, definitely click on that and explore it. But it's a lot of coding based issues, essentially is what the issues were. And they do have recommendations on how to fix it. What isn't clear is whether the team has resolved them or not, or whether Nebula will update this after they've been resolved. For their price, they're not doing too bad. You can see they had a little bit of a dip earlier today, or late last night. Let's go ahead and look at the 30-day. Again, this is a brand new token, so we don't have to look that far back. And you can see they already had their increase, and they're on their decline now. So this might be a good point to get into this particular project if this is a project that interests you. Now for their holders, you can see again, they don't have a lot of holders. 6,347 addresses. And if we click on holders, we can see the burn address. They've already burned 44%, which is pretty good, especially for a 1 quadrillion token. I've covered a couple other 1 quadrillion tokens that didn't burn much of anything. I think it was like 8% for Lunar. My preference is for quadrillion tokens that there's a burn, although I question whether you should have a quadrillion tokens anyway if you're planning on burning. I know that a lot of tokens like to launch with 1 quadrillion or 100 quadrillion or a quintillion tokens and then burn a huge percentage. I'm just not sure that there's a benefit in that. I suppose there's a benefit if they burn after people have already been buying, because their price per token is probably going to shoot up quite a bit after a burn of 50% or more. I think my preference would be that they launch with a lower number. I don't see the huge benefit in doing burn processes as part of the token launch. But that's kind of where we are. There's a lot of people like to do the burns at the token launch. So I appreciate that they do the burn, because 1 quadrillion tokens is a lot of tokens. All right, so how did this project do? And as you can see, they've got a C. Now, I actually have gotten the Galaxy score working again. It works better on my phone. I can't seem to get it to work on the web browser, but the app did work pretty good. So I have gotten the Galaxy score to work, and Reflecto is so new that they don't have a score. But a C is still pretty good. I had been giving projects 100 points while I work out the bugs with getting that Galaxy score. So if this one had 100 points, you can see it would have been a B, which is on par with some of the other recent projects I've been doing. So again, I suspect after it's launched, with the number of holders they've got, they don't really have a lot of social media presence. They're probably going to be in the 50 to 60 range, which again isn't bad. Even if they're at a 50, they're still at a C. So keep that in mind. What is the Galaxy score really telling us? It's talking about how fast and how big of a community is it going to have. And right now it doesn't have a community. That's why it doesn't have a score. It's a very small community, which is illustrated by the number of holders they've got at 6,347. It's kind of hard to have a community when you're that small. Even with 10,000, you're still pretty small compared to a lot of other tokens out there. So as the community gets bigger for this token, that score will get higher, but that's a risk. And that's why I include that is it's not going to have a huge increase because it's just not on a lot of social media presence. And with their limitations on YouTube videos and getting YouTube content creators to cover their projects, their AMAs, that's also going to hinder their growth, because there's not going to be a lot of people out there that are covering this project as part of the AMAs, which a lot of potential holders watch those. Now let's go ahead and go through this. So is the website visually appealing? Yes, I tend to think it's still very template, but they can fix that over time. And most people aren't going to care. They're going to look for the graphics and does the website look professional? And it does. I didn't see any spelling. I didn't see any grammar issues. I didn't see any website issues. I did have issues with it loading multiple times throughout the course of this video. I kept getting the little circling thing. It's not my internet. My internet's pretty good. And I had that problem on multiple computers, so I think there's something going on there with the website, but that's just a guess. But it wasn't necessarily an error. I just couldn't necessarily work through this video as quickly as I'd wanted to. Is the team listed? Yes. Is there a contact method? Yes. Is there a security audit there? Yes. Do they have the price, market cap? No. They actually do have a how-to, so let's fix that. And it's a pretty good how-to. I would just recommend again that they walk through how to enable it inside the wallet for Trust Wallet. I gave the audit score a 90 because they did have those 4 low severity and no indication that they've been resolved at this point. Do they have a roadmap and a white map? Yes. As far as the roadmap, is it current? Yes, because we're in November and they've got through January, but I'd recommend that they go a little bit further out, and they don't necessarily need to go by the month. My concern with having stuff in December, if they don't hit those deadlines because they've indicated that it's going to be in December, there's going to be a lot of people that are not going to have the faith in this project that they probably would have. So hopefully they hit those deadlines, but my recommendation is that they use quarters and a realistic expectation of which quarters those things are going to actually launch in, and it gives you a little bit bigger window to make sure you make those targets. And I would recommend, at least for 2022, that they start looking at quarters versus months. If you're going to hit the deadlines for the months, go ahead, but a lot of projects miss deadlines and then you see the price tank. So quarters usually works better. I've seen phases has been a new growing trend just to avoid the issue of not making your deadlines. But even phases, well, that could be years, so that's problematic as well. So I prefer quarters, personally. They have a white paper. There's no issues there. The development team is known. They have a professional team. Their use case, very limited right now. All they've got is a token and a coin. They do have some interesting ideas on their use case moving forward. But again, none of those have been created, so right now the use case is really just that one thing. No Galaxy Score, very little on the YouTube presence, and there are some videos out there, but no really dedicated channels. They do have their own channel, and obviously that one's dedicated. For that, you might not get that extended subscriber base that you would from other YouTubers covering their project. Like for this one, all the potential subscribers on my channel are going to get exposed to it by me doing this video, good or bad, but they're going to get exposed to it, and it's something that you all can take a look at and see if you're interested in buying. They do have a Discord. I like the integration into iMenu. I like the idea of being able to buy with MasterCard and Visa. I'd just like more information, and potentially this could be pretty big on their target audience. But right now I think it's probably more accurate around an 8, because there really isn't much use for Reflecto other than as a purchasing mechanism tied to Visa and MasterCard, and I don't know that you're going to pay those fees when you use it, so I've got some concerns there with exactly how that process works. Hopefully they'll answer that over time once they get a little further in the development process. But it's a strong project. What are my concerns? First, it relies on crypter or evergrow to be successful, and I think evergrow is pretty likely to be successful. I'm not so sure about crypter, but again, they can make those changes. And the 20% fee is really high. And how they have things broken down, it's not really a free gas fee if you're prepaying your gas fee. And I'm not entirely sure that I pay 1% on my gas fees right now, so I don't know that I would want to pay 1% at any point. I like the idea of not having to pay gas fees. I just don't think I should pay for it out of the fees that I'm paying, if that makes any sense. So that's kind of a concern with me. Again, I haven't bought into this project for basically those reasons there, and plus it's the end of the month and I just don't have any money to put into projects. I like the idea of getting evergrowcoin and binance-pegged USD back. I didn't buy into crypter, and I'm not entirely sure that crypter is a long-term viable option. My fundamental analysis of that project, I'm just not sold on how successful that project is going to be. And I really didn't like the interface on the social media platform that they built. They can change all that stuff. I just don't know that it's going to be a long-term project that people are going to invest in. So that's my concerns. I think that a C represents those concerns pretty well, because really what this is telling you is a risk assessment. This isn't saying that this isn't going to be a successful project. It's saying that's a high risk. And it's not even as high risk as a lot of other projects that are out there. A C is a pretty solid starting point for a project. A lot of projects out there, they're not doxed. This one is. A lot of them don't have a security audit. This one has it. Those are strong points for this one not to be a rug pull or not to be a scam of any kind. It's just a matter of whether it's going to be successful or not. Does it have enough utility? Does the target audience, is it broad enough where you're going to get adoption? Is the fee too high? I don't know. That's the concerns with this project. But I like the idea. I like the idea of getting 10% back. I don't like the idea of paying 20% fee for every buy, sell, and transfer. That's a lot. Your return on your investment would have to be pretty significant. And this isn't really that kind of token that you worry about selling because you're a holding. But if everybody only ever buys, you're relying on the growth to be through future holders, and that's just not always practical. So I have concerns about the long-term health of this project, and I'm not sure that I'm going to invest in it. And with it being the holidays next month, it's probably, if I did invest in it, it's probably not going to be till after the holidays, just because it's expensive this time of the year. Like I said, I'm trying to keep things real. It's expensive in December, but that is the review of Reflecto. Let me know in the comments. Did you invest in Reflecto? If you didn't, why not? If you did, why? What did you like about this project? Do you have any concerns? I've laid out mine. What are your concerns if you have any? I'm always curious. Hope you found this content helpful. I look forward to reviewing your comments. Until next time, stay strong with those diamond hands. Crypto Newbie here to tell you how you can get $2,340 in free stocks. All the links I use in this video are in the description. Sign up for Webull and get 2 free stocks valued up to $2,300. Your first stock is free automatically. Deposit any amount and you get your second stock. Deposit 1 penny and you get your second stock. Total value could be up to $2,300. Generally $5 per stock is what you get. Next we have block fee. Get $10 in Bitcoin just for signing up. But read the fine print. I've got a rewards account. You'll get $40 in Bitcoin, as will I. So you know exactly what I'm going to get and what you're going to get. You do need to deposit $100 to get your $40 in Bitcoin. That's the overview how to get $2,340 just by signing up for accounts.